Before Killing Floor, I had never heard of the term Horde mode. Back then, there were more lengthy explanations of it. Arena play, survival mode, deathmatch with bots. Of course, it wasn't the first, even that I had played. There were plenty of games in my library which included what could be called a Horde mode. Rainbow Six, Max Payne 2, hell, if you expand the definition, even games like Galaga or Space Invaders could be considered Horde mode games. Dudes come into your arena, want to kill you, don't die. But Killing Floor was different. Killing Floor had zombies. Killing Floor integrated the get kills, get money, buy bigger guns, get more kills cycle, popularized in Counter-Strike, and in its genesis as a mod even predates Call of Duty World at War, Left 4 Dead, Gears of War, and other games which are considered by the mainstream as having created the genre. Well, let's throw semantics out with the bathwater, eh? Even if it wasn't the first, it was the best. The gunplay was phenomenal, the difficulty was legendary, and thanks to an openness to user-created mods, hundreds of maps and dozens of guns were included into the base game from the community. This increased the game's life immeasurably, so much so that, as a Tripwire dev noted in a recent video with Total Biscuit, there were more people playing Killing Floor than were playing Evolve a week after it released. Even with Killing Floor's longevity, an update has been a long time coming. Killing Floor 2 seems to be a worthy successor, sharing the same main enemy set, the overall balance, fun, and animation quality of the weapon, the primary kill-purchase-kill cycle, and the over-the-top gore and Z-movie cheesiness. Well, looks like no surprises here, Killing Floor 2 is better in every single... Wait a minute. Where's a traitor? You know, the immortal black chick out in the middle of nowhere selling guns and double entendres. You know, the traitor. Looks like she's been replaced by one of those Second Amendment machine 3D printer bots. Well, at least the principle's the same. After every wave of baddies, you have to leave your preferred holdout zone to find the trading pod, where you spend your earnings from killing Zeds on new guns. It's a solid cycle, still fun as hell, and for the most part, smooth as butter. However, there are still some problems that Killing Floor 1 had, which Killing Floor 2 has not quite mastered. For starters, in Killing Floor, if you were loading a level and it became clear to you because of the amount of time it was taking or some other factor that the loading was broken, there was no way to cancel out of it other than shutting down the entire game. This somehow remains the case, and is more of a user interface issue than anything else. Just stick a cancel button there next to the pre-rendered video and this would no longer be an issue. The voice commands in Killing Floor 1 were slightly too complicated for me to get comfortable using them. I always found it easier to just quickly type a message across, like, "It's great coming," or "Don't well be into the fucking trading room, asshole!" So, Killing Floor 2 streamlined these voice communications into this selection wheel, and I want to make it clear, I like command wheels. They're cool, mostly intuitive to use, and a decent, simpler alternative to lengthy ARMA-style voice menus. Killing Floor 2's command wheel is clumsy and limited. So far, you can say yes, no, need healing, need money, get to the trader, and follow me. No thank you, no flesh pound incoming. Using a command wheel is not a misstep, it just needs to be improved. I guess, as with any online game, bring a microphone and a willingness to configure. Let's not focus only on the negative. We should also talk about the things they improved. The balance of the classes has been improved dramatically since the first game. The Berserker and Commando used to be underpowered, with support and sharpshooter having an upper hand throughout every wave. Now, each class feels competent, powerful, and useful. The leveling requirements have been slightly relaxed, and particularly for the support and Commando class, this is marvelous. It was ludicrous to require that the Commando and the Commando alone kill hundreds of a specific enemy, in this case stalkers, to level up, ranging from 350 from level 3 to a staggering 3,600 for level 6. Given that only a certain number of stalkers would spawn in every wave, it would take incredible amounts of grinding to get the number of kills you needed, and would lead to territorialism among different people playing Commando, and an insistence that nobody else kill stalkers, okay? Because those are my stalkers. Now, doing things like welding doors for the support, healing for the medic, killing stalkers for the Commando, and beating the crap out of everything for the Berserker are not necessary for class leveling. They just give more XP than you would get if you were a different class. The only thing that's holding the classes back as a whole is that there are not enough of them. There are only 4 classes in the game right now: Support, Medic, Commando, and Berserker, with a pistol-focused Gunslinger and a rifle-focused Sharpshooter announced as coming attractions, and another 4 as of yet unnamed classes to finish out the roster. The current classes have all been rebalanced and are overall more useful. Despite the rebalancing, I would still say there needs to be a little more, especially for the earlier levels. The support is a really easy class to start with, since with the shotguns you can get multiple kills with every blast, and at top tier you get the best gun in the game, the AA-12. At level 10, the commando and support start to balance out. With the commandos upgrade to larger magazines, the roles start to become more clear, with commando excelling at taking out individual targets, and support providing crowd control. The medic makes up for having middling damage by, of course, being able to heal other players more effectively, but also by being a jack of all trades, with a remote healing gun from every class. A slightly powered down version of the Beretta, Bullpup, AK, and AA-12, all with excellent sights. The medic also gets what I consider the best grenades in the game. They release a cloud of gas that heals your teammates and damages Zeds that get in it, killing the weaker ones outright. These grenades are perfect for floodgate management. Just throw them down a corridor the Zeds have to walk down, watch them melt away. Berserker is probably my least favorite class to play as, but that doesn't make him any less useful. I can sympathize with my own distaste of the Berserker. I came here to shoot zombies in the face. This ain't no Renaissance fair. It's a science fiction convention at worst. I don't have to choose between shooting and bashing, except, wait, what is this exactly? Oh my god, you can do both at once. Hey guys, that sledgehammer has a shotgun in it. Jeez, what's next? A glowing neon party Nazi who wants to steal your fluids? Anyway, Berserker is basically a damage tank and a shooter. He takes less damage from the zombies, can't be grabbed by clots after level 5, and can easily stagger Skrakes and Flesh Pounds. This makes a Berserker, when properly used, a necessary asset to the team. He takes the heat and you kill the kitchen. Or he's the carrot and you're the stick, but he has a stick, and not even a stick really, a sword. Or a hammer. You know what, let's move on. And of course there's the graphics! One thing I can say from a reviewer's standpoint is that it's hard to take bad footage of Killing Floor 2. The game looks great and performs smoothly. There are only a few open areas where the game chugs a little bit, and even then only after the ground has been littered with Zed corpses. The blood and gore are masterfully chunky. The specimens react to varying levels of damage fluidly, everything from staggering to falling over each other to exploding into red mist in slow motion. The damage tracking is peerless. I've never noticed any sort of lag or desync with the Zeds that cause me to miss a target or not cause the damage I should have, or worse, die. The graphical UI changes are also really good, like the weld lines on the doors. You can just tell from a glance how much damage they're going to take before breaking down. And I would say they've improved the gunplay, but the bar was already set pretty damned high. Killing Floor 2 manages to maintain that high level of quality, and of course, all the reload animations are in stunning 120 frames per second. So yeah, they look good in slow motion as well as at regular speed. My main technical complaint with the gunplay is that bullets go at different speeds in real time and in slow motion. Of course, I know, slow motion, cool bullet trails and all that, but I have to lead my targets way more in slow motion than I do in real time, and it throws me off. It kind of feels a little bit wrong to be aiming at a way different place from 1 second to the next. Hell, maybe it's not the bullet speed being too slow, but the speed of the zombies being too fast. I don't know. All I know is that it's a little bit poopy and I don't like it. Another thing I don't think is treated particularly well is the soundtrack. Don't get me wrong, I like it, and you probably do too. You've been listening to it all throughout this review. It's just that in-game, it's been balanced way down by default, and is really only audible between bouts of action, almost unhearable where it would be the coolest. Your primary antagonists, the Zed specimens, are all pretty much carbon copies of the first game. Varied in size and shape, distinct at a glance by both silhouette and animation, they all have their own special ways of killing you. Clots, crawlers, gorefast, stalkers, husks, sirens, bloats, all pretty much function the same as they used to. They're all hard as hell, and I'm glad. I always liked how difficult Killing Floor was compared to other games, even other Horde games. You have to go for headshots, police your ammo, and most importantly, stick together if you even hope to survive. Since headshots are so important, it's a cool detail that all the zombies' heads are at different heights, requiring adjustments every time you switch targets. The crawlers require the most adjustment, since they're crawling along the ground. They're also the smallest specimen and the sneakiest, given their low profile, and because they spawn in unpredictable places, including sometimes directly above you. The clots will grab you if you get close, although this time around the camera will jolt around to give you a view of the one grabbing you, which I don't like. Not only does this make it easier to just tap trigger to escape clot grab, it's also very distracting, especially when you have a huge dude with a chainsaw arm coming at your team, so it's both easier and harder, and annoying. The bloats vomit on you, damaging you over time. The Gorefests charge faster than you can run, and thusly do damage very quickly. The Sirens vaporize your grenades with their screams and do area damage to the whole group. The Husks are the only truly ranged opponent, sending fireballs and jets of flame over your team. And the Stalkers are invisible until they strike, except to the sharp-eyed player or the Commando class, who can see them at a range that expands with his level. The Skrakes and the Fleshpounds are the two heavy-hitting opponents, although they've been changed since the first game. The Skrake now does a whole lot more damage than he used to, and is now the far more dangerous specimen, even though they spawn earlier and in greater numbers than the Fleshpound. I can think of a dozen or so times that I've been killed by a Skrake, and only once or twice that I've been killed by a Fleshpound. Fleshpounds are now basically tanks, doing not an overwhelming amount of damage, but soaking it up at a ferocious pace. Now you have to use your more powerful guns on the Skrakes, careful not to run their ammunition dry by sinking it into the Fleshpounds. It's a more refined trade-off than in the first game, where Skrakes blended into the background a little more than they do now. On the final wave of every play session, you play against the boss, which in the first killing floor was always the Patriarch, a mad scientist with a chain gun and a rocket launcher grafted onto his arm. Not to be out-badassed, Killing Floor 2 will eventually have a variety of final bosses. There's only one now, this crazy Nazi scientist who drains your life to regenerate his. The boss is cool and functions differently to the Patriarch in that he gets more aggressive when his health gets low, as opposed to the Patriarch, who retreated after a player barrage to heal. There is a severe difficulty spike when the boss shows up. I mean, I know, it's the boss, but this guy is seriously hard to beat. There are some tricks to his pattern you need to know in order to beat him, and the need for that cooperation is even higher. Most puppy groups I've played with don't have the coordination needed to take him out. I'm not upset by the difficulty spike, more surprised that, again, it's still in line with the original game. You could be doing fine up until Wave 7, boss comes along, and you're totally unprepared, and it's over in seconds. I'm looking forward to the other bosses, aside from the return of the Patriarch, and I'm curious to see what kind of crazy outlandish thing we'll have to fight next. Despite there only being 3 levels currently in the base game, they're all complex, detailed, look great, and incorporate varied layout even within themselves. Each of the levels features wide open arenas, corridors, dead ends, outdoor sections, multiple floors, falling hazards. We've also started to see some rudimentary maps come out of the community. Using them is dead easy. Servers will run them and you just download the file off the server and play. Even if you don't seek these ones out, if experience is any judge, Tripwire will be integrating the best user-created maps into the base game. They will also, hopefully, integrate user-created weapons as well, and ideally, around a year or two into KF2's life, the amount of quality user-generated content will outstrip what the developers produce. The current lack of classes and levels is the main downside to buying Killing Floor 2 right away. It is in early access, and for once, I think that's an excellent idea. The developers explain this plan similar to how Killing Floor 1 got its start. Most of the maps and weapons weren't in the game on release by virtue of the game starting its development cycle as a mod. So, Tripwire is actually used to using an early access model effectively. And I have faith that they will execute Killing Floor's growth expediently. Even so, the current limits of the game might inspire you to hold off an immediate purchase. Even if you like the core gameplay cycle with just 4 classes and 3 maps, you might get bored of shooting zombies into red mist with fantastically balanced and awesome weapons. Nah.
Money, money, money. Cash, anyone? Money, money, money. Cash, anyone? How's that
Buy
for
yourself
a bailout?
something
Cash,
quick.
anyone?
You need this more
Cash
than
for
me.
ya.
I just bought
Think of it
shares.
as an investment.
Anyone need
money,
some
money,
cash?
money.
Who wants
Cash
money?
for ya.
Anyone
Zeds are
need some
getting
cash?
closer.
Money.
Cool. Bubbly all around at
How's
this rate.
that for a
There's
bailout?
no more
Cash,
to you.
anyone?
There. Get yourself a
Money,
Botox.
money, money.
You need this more
How's
than me.
that for a
Hold
bailout?
closed.
Buy yourself some
Think of it as an
Connected to
investment.
front.
Cash for ya.
At this rate, I'll open my own.